What is going on, guys? It's Gene Jensen, and it is time for a little Friday Night Live. Whoo! Man, it's been a long time. Welcome, everybody. I'm a little rusty with this StreamYard deal. I'm going to have to get back in the game. It's been a while. So, man, I've missed it. I've absolutely missed this. I've got a complete and total setup change right now. I've got a new microphone. I've got a new camera, new web camera. I'm actually using my new vlogging camera for a web camera, and I call it a vlogging camera, but I'm not going to vlog. But it works really good for what I'm doing. But I'm excited. I've been in Florida for about nearly a month, literally living in the middle of nowhere. Let me show you guys where I was. So this is my campsite. See if it'll go full screen for me. This is where I was staying in the middle of nowhere. No cell signal per se. I had maybe one bar every once in a while. Down here on the bottom, you see that's my water jug. I run off of a Generac generator. I've got an oven and a stove over here right now. I'm heating water for my shower, which is this pipe on top of my truck that I pressurize and I can take a shower. So I got lights and a tent and I'm sleeping in pretty good luxury for tent camping. So my Boy Scouts used to call me the world's greatest car camper, and I'm pretty much have mastered all of that. But I had to have the generator to run my chargers and stuff like that. So I just figured I'd share that with you. That's where I lived for 3 weeks. And it was a blast. I really enjoyed doing it. But man, oh man, it's good to be back. I did not realize when I talked about on my last Friday Night Live several weeks ago that I was going to be gone that long. I basically told my wife I'm leaving and I'll be back when I'm ready to come back. I wasn't mad at her, but I just had a lot of stuff to do, a lot of tournaments to fish, and just wanted to get as much done down there as I possibly could. So I ended up fishing 3 KBF tournaments, the 2 trail tournaments, the Invitational, and then I fished a benefit tournament, which was the very first one on Fellsmere Reservoir, which is that new reservoir that everybody's talking about down in Florida. I finished 3rd in the reservoir tournament, the Fellsmere tournament. I finished 21st in the first trail tournament. I spun myself out trying to mess with the new app that I wasn't used to. The second trail tournament, I finished 4th, and then in the Invitational, I finished 7th. So I did pretty good. Brought home about $1,600. So it was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. I'm already getting ready for my next trail event over on Lake Murray. But man, I'm excited to be back. Let's see. I got to do what I promised. I promised I would pick some winners. That was what I was going to do before I got everything started, but I was messing around with my new technology. So what I do every month, and I actually owe you guys 2 picks, is we do a giveaway. You go on my website, flukemaster.com, you buy a sticker for $5, and then when you get the sticker, you stick it on something, take a picture of it, put it on Instagram, and then use hashtag #StuckOnFluke, and then tag me in the picture so it's easy for me to find. And I go in there. Let me look up hashtags. Hold on just a minute. Hashtag stuck. If I could type. Stuck on fluke. And I search it. And then I pick a couple of winners. Now, what happens, or I pick a winner each month, and I didn't pick one last month, so that's why I'm going to do 2 today. But the winner automatically wins $50 gift certificate to my website and a $50 gift certificate to Tackle Warehouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick 2 people. And what I do is I just randomly choose a picture that qualifies for it, and we go from that. Winner number 1 is Strong Arm 6R. So in order to do this, I've got to... Okay, Strong Arm 6R. He looks like he's from out west, so that might be a long trip. Now, that's the guy. Let me go back to the picture. That's a picture he took. It's just a bottle of, with my sticker on it. But anyway, congratulations, man. You won. And then in May, I'm going to draw from all the winners of each month. I'm going to draw out of a hat, and then I'm going to go to your house, pick you up, and we're going to go fishing for a couple of days. So Dude, I didn't realize there was a gun in that picture. How cool is that? All right, so I'll remember that one. And then one more, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That guy's already won. That I know for sure. Let's do this one. Double Fishing Texas. You're the next one. And I'll send you a message. And if I forget to send you a message, send me one on Instagram. And like I said, in May, I'm going to pick from the winners and I'm going to come pick you up. And we're going to go fishing. I'm going to grab my boat, hauled to wherever you are, and we're going to have a blast. So anyway, congratulations, guys. And those are the winners for December and January. Now, the end of February, I'm going to pick another winner, March, April, and May. And then the end of May, I'm going to put all the names in the hat and draw from the hat. All right, here we go. Q&A time. You know what? I've been thinking about having guests on here. It's been a little bit hard to get everything situated, which is something, that I really need to do. But there's several pros that I'm good friends with and I have contacts with and that kind of stuff that I'd love to get on here. And I'm not going to say any names because I can't promise anybody right now. But there's several of them that I'd love to get on here and start talking fishing and just kind of mix things up again. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, actually 3.5 years now or something like that, maybe 4.5 years. And I've had very few guests. So that's one of the things I really want to try to do. But let me know in the comments if you like that idea or not. I mean, I really like it. And I've got some, like I said, there's going to be some pretty cool people. But speaking of cool people, this next Wednesday on the Plano Tackle Box or the Plano Facebook page, they have what's called the College of Bass, and it's hosted by Kevin Van Dam. Oh, and Steve, what is your last name? I can't remember. I remember meeting Steve years ago. He used to do the Knot Wars on YouTube. But it's hosted by those two guys, and it's a cool little Q&A thing with Kevin Van Dam. Well, this Wednesday at 8:00, I'm going to be the only guest. And we're going to talk about tackle storage and how we pack for trips and all kinds of cool stuff. And Kevin doesn't know this. I'm going to pick his brain more than he picks mine. So that ought to be pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let me shut my laptop real quick. Okay. Oh no, Joe Nee. You guys, if you don't know who Joe Nee is, he is the how do you say? He owns the Chinese restaurant in Dayton, Tennessee, the only one worth eating at. It's the buffet that's in Dayton, Tennessee. And years ago, I needed a place to stay while I was guiding on Kentucky Lake, and he let me stay at his house. And that was the first time we ever met. And so I owe him big time. I still owe him a fishing trip. I just haven't been up to Chickamauga since I promised him that. But he said he caught a 7 and an 8 pounder today. Need to come fish Chick for before you have to bring your own parking. Bring your own parking spot. That's funny. Yeah, I do need to get up there, dude. Do need to get up there. How do you like the new mic? It's the Yeti Blue, which everybody raves about. I got sick and tired of worrying about my mic popping and everything else. And then I also got a new webcam, so the quality ought to be really good. But anyway, let's start with Q&A. Let's do what I love. Let's see. Is the Strike King Rage Bug and Structure Bug the same bait? Exactly the same bait. We call it the Rage Bug, but the official name is the Strike King Structure Bug. So it was invented or designed by Steve Parks, the owner of Rage Tail. Let's see. Fisherman 83. Yeah, I saw your comment before we started about this. Yeah, I'm excited, man. It ought to be pretty darn cool. I've actually been on KVD's boat once when I was doing an interview. I've interviewed him a few times during a tournament. I might talk a little bit about that during the thing, but yeah, dude, he's a great dude. He's a great guy. He's a great guy when he's not in the middle of a tournament. When he's in the middle of the tournament, he's the hardest interview. I basically gave up doing it. Or trying. I tried to get him 2 days before the tournament started, and then I tried to get him after the tournament started because in between, it was impossible. He was so laser focused, you never got a good answer out of it. It was always like one sentence or maybe two. So, but I learned a lot from just that, from that example. Do you think the KBF will start doing live coverage of tournaments over YouTube? I don't know. I think so. That'd be a good thing for me to bring up with Chad, but I would imagine we could do it. I'd like to start doing it. I'm almost set up for it. the lake I fished down in Florida, there's no way. I mean, I barely got a signal, but we could definitely try. All depends on the coverage. I might be able to try it on Lake Murray, do some updates or do some live deals. So see, I miss your older videos when you were with MTV and teaching those lures. Man, I'm getting back into that. I'm not going to get back in the MTV stuff. I'm kind of over subscription boxes, but I sure would like to just grab a bunch of lures and go fishing and just teach them. I did 4 videos or 5 videos with my son today. Got some new things coming up. Got a new channel I'm working on, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of. I'm looking forward to it. I told my son at the beginning of this year, my New Year's resolution was 1, and some of you guys might not like this, no more tournament videos. 1, they don't get enough views, and 2, they're the hardest videos for my son to edit because there's just so much footage to go through. So I told him, I said, this year, nothing but instructional videos. And that gives me the opportunity to really dive into detail about it. Today I was going to do a chatterbait video, but the rain came in and it just got stupid miserable and I didn't want to film in it. So that's coming though. Definitely coming. We did some inside videos and some stuff that I had on my list. So I'm pretty excited about that. So Brent Coleman, man, thanks for the $20. You guys that donate are awesome. I really appreciate it. It's been so long, but it is so appreciated. It definitely goes to a good cause. It usually goes to gas money, but yeah. So, I've been having the worst luck videoing those. Speaking of all that mess, I get when you guys go down and click on the Tackle Warehouse links and you buy something, I get a small, tiny percentage of it. Well, that adds up over time, and every quarter, Tackle Warehouse sends me a check. It's not a huge check, but it helps, and I'll save that money up from those deals, and I use it to replace camera equipment and video equipment, and that stuff wears out over time. Well, a couple of years ago, my wife found out about that check, which was no big deal, except she's been putting it towards bills, which is still no big deal. But my camera equipment has just been suffering. And so down in Florida, I was like, I could not get a decent video. I shot 5 videos and went and looked at them all, and the camera was just jacked up. And it was one that I've been using for a few years. And so I called my wife. I said, hey, honey, listen. I said, that Tackle Warehouse check usually goes towards camera equipment. Well, the next ones are, because I'm going right now to Best Buy and buying a camera, and I picked up a Sony ZV-1. And so that's what you're seeing. That's the camera. Oh, that's pretty cool. See, look at that. Anyway, that's the camera you see right now. And that's one I'll be using for all my videos and stuff like that. It's just an awesome BA camera. I'm excited about it. But anyway, I kind of got off on the subject, but yeah, man, I'm excited. So I love my wife, but I needed to replace my gear. It was getting completely worn out. All right. Big Red Bass, what's going on, man? He says, hey, Flute, welcome back. Do you know of any square bills that come through grass better than most? Typically the ones that have the real sharp computer chip bills, I can't remember what they call them, but they're the ones that's made out of the same material as like a motherboard and computer chips and that kind of stuff. They're a lot sharper, so they'll cut through that grass a little bit better. Other than that, it's all technique. It's you drop to a slack line and you go pop, 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 and you rip it out of the grass, and then you let it sit there for a second before you start reeling it back in, because if there's a bass sitting right there, he'll hit it right as soon as it pops out of that grass. But yeah, the sharper the bill. You used to see, before those bills came out, you'd see pros sharpening the bills on their square bills just to make it to where they'd cut the grass a little bit better. And it works most of the time. A lot of times it depends on the type of grass that you're fishing. Milfoil isn't great. Hydrilla rips really easy. And there's, like eelgrass rips really easy most of the time if it's fresh and green. It just all depends. So, but yeah, those little sharp bills work the best. What's the best size rod for 10 foot and deeper for crankbaits? 10 foot deeper, I'm typically throwing a deep diving crankbait or medium diving crankbait. I throw those on a medium heavy moderate action rod, so it's got plenty of flex and bend, so the bass gets the bait good and you don't lose them, and they're able to, they can't throw them. 6:3 to 1 gear ratio reel or 6:8 to 1, depending on what you're looking at, but the 6 series is typically what I'll use. Unless I'm burning it, which I rarely ever do. But if I'm burning it, I'm gonna switch up to a 7 speed rod. So, MD Basson, honest opinion on Googan baits. Anyone used them? My honest opinion, I know who designed them. The main designer of Googan Plastics is Steve Parks, also the owner of Rage Tail. And so they're really good baits. The only thing that bugs me about Googan baits is you get typically you get fewer baits in the bag for $1 more than you would Rage Tail, than you would other styles of baits. You know, they've got, let me stop bringing my hands up here. I keep getting out of focus. But, you know, I've gone through and I've compared them all. And I'm like, that's the only reason why. It's cost. And so, and I buy my Strike King baits. I buy my my Zoom baits and that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go with them first because I'm getting more for less money. Just basically what it is. Crankbaits I've never tried, that kind of stuff. I just know that they did that to make money. They didn't, to not get completely off on a tangent. I just know that they are not lure and tackle designers. They are marketers. And so they're going to find whoever will make the stuff for them. And so I'm going to go for the companies that have tackle and lure designers that are parts of the company, and they're not, you know, they're not licensed out. And you end up getting better baits, and you end up getting less expensive baits because you're not paying for that licensing per se. So that's my opinion. Great. I mean, they're good baits. They catch fish. I just feel like they're just not the best deal out there. So Robert Benning, thanks for the $20 super sticker, man. You're awesome. Thank you. Bill Spruce, thanks for the $5. He said, you have only 2 rod and reel combos to take to a mystery fishing location for mystery fish. What rods and reels are you taking? Whew, I am taking a medium. Depends on the time of year. But say this time of the year, spawn or pre-spawn, when the water's starting to warm up, I'm going to take a medium fast action rod, and I'm going to take a medium heavy moderate rod. And they're both going to have 7:3 to 1 gear ratio reels, because that's kind of the middle of the road, and I can go fast, I can go slow with them, that kind of stuff. So, and they're both good for moving baits, and the medium fast action is good for small, like Texas rigs and small bottom baits. So that's what it's going to be. I wish you'd give me 3 rods though. All right, let me go. Hold on a second. I just saw something I need to get rid of. Where is it at? Let's go here. Let's block this person. Bye-bye. See ya. All right. I'm going to back up a little bit and get back to some comments. Let's see. Damon, the answer is yes. You just let me know. Here's a good one. That Mosier boy, Fluke Master, I'm a heavier fella. I'm wanting to purchase a new kayak. I've never been in a kayak. Any suggestions, advice, and guidance? The best thing for you to do is contact every paddle shop that sells fishing kayaks in your area, and be willing to travel a couple, 2 or 3 hours to get there. But find out when their demo days are this spring. Don't be in a hurry to purchase a kayak. Go and demo, especially if you're a big dude. Because there are certain kayaks out there that say they're for big people, but when you get in them, you can't stand up, you can't move around. You need to get out there and demo those kayaks, and that's the best way to do it. But just test them. Get out and get ready to get wet and fall in. Figure out which one's harder to tip over and move around and stuff like that. That is the best advice I can give you, is go demo them. And you'll save yourself a whole lot of heartache. Like I've said many, many, many times, a kayak angler's favorite kayak is always his second one, because we screw up and buy one because we're impatient and we don't go out and test them. I did it. A lot of other people have done it, but I would tell you from my own experience, go to a demo day, go to several demo days and demo every wide, long kayak that they have. Good question. Vibe Shearwater, yes or no? I'm not a fan of Vibe. You'll have to ask somebody who is. I don't like Vibe because they pretty much copied the Bonafide SS127, the whole design and that kind of stuff. And the reason I say that is I was at ICAST, and there was a little alley between the NRS booth and the Vibe booth, and it had Vibe had a wall right here with a picture on it, and I was going to the NRS booth, and I just saw it out of the corner of my eyes, and I thought it was a bona fide SS 127. I turned and looked, and I had to look at it for about 5 seconds before I realized it wasn't, because it was the same shape, same everything, except for all the components and everything else that had been changed, and it did not make me very happy. So that's my 2 cents. Does the saltwater weather affect your gear, camera, and such? Yes, it does. I have destroyed so many microphones due to saltwater, so many cameras, and that's why you don't see a whole lot of saltwater stuff from me. I can't afford it. I lost a $400 microphone 2 years ago, just to saltwater, just to little splashes. So, G-Man joined 13 fishing as well. Any thoughts? I think it's awesome. I talked to Ricky at 13 about it while I was down in Florida. I think it's a great deal, man. I mean, G-Man is one of the 2 pros that I would love to spend time with on the water. I mean, I'd love to fish a day, 2 days, a week with the dude and just pick his brain, because him and I think a lot about the basics and the simple things in bass fishing. And I think it'd be a great thing. So, Robert Benning, thanks, man. He says, Gene, you deserve much more than we can give you. Thanks for the videos. I'm 50, but learned so much from you. That's awesome, man. And when I first got started with YouTube so many years ago, I always was concerned about us older guys, because all I had were the younger guys, the Googan fans, the 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And then I had a few in the 20s that would comment and stuff like that. But nowadays, man, you got 50s and 60s and 70-year-old guys commenting on my videos and that kind of stuff. And it really is exciting to see them willing to do that. Those of us older folks willing to do that and willing to comment on it. So it's cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for the comment. Have I used the 13 fishing jabberjaw yet? Yes, I have. I'll tell you a story in a second, but I caught my 4th fish, or on my 4th cast of a jabberjaw, I caught a fish. 4th cast ever. And it was this time of the year last year on, actually it was in March, on Logan Martin is where I was, back in the creek. And I said, yeah, I'm just going to throw it and see what happens. 4th cast, bam. Jody Queen, I was talking to him the other day and telling him the story. And he's like, man, I caught one on the 2nd cast of ever having one. So I love them. I'm going to use the mess out of them this spring. They got a new color out called Fire and Ice that I'm excited. It's a crawfish color. I'm excited to put it to the test. So it's an awesome bait. It's an awesome bait. I haven't loaded the boat with them yet, but man, it's got me excited. Jacob Newbar, how much time should you spend flipping underdocks in tournaments? As long as you have confidence in it. Anywhere, no matter whether it's docks, points, anywhere you're fishing, as soon as you lose confidence in that spot, move, change something. That's where that made a huge difference to me on how fast I was able to find and catch fish. And I got to the point where I recognized really quick that I've lost confidence and I change. Happens with baits, happens with spots and places that I'm fishing. So what about a 10XD? I don't fish a 10XD very often, rarely. And I do it in the summertime. I don't like to. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'd rather throw a drop shot. I'd rather throw a jig that deep, that kind of stuff. Creek and Trail Chronicle says, I'm in Huntsville. It seems to be underspins and swim baits up here. Yeah, it's still really cold up there, probably in the low 50s, high 40s up that way. And yeah, that's kind of what's going on right there. Should be a couple of weeks, should start to see a warm up, and they'll poke their heads up and get ready for pre-spawn. So you're going to see several pre-spawn videos from me coming out in the next couple, 2 or 3 weeks, except for this weekend. I'm not filming a daggum thing. My wife and I celebrated our 21st anniversary yesterday, but we're going to celebrate it really Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're leaving the kids at home, and we're hauling butt to the mountains. Matter of fact, we'll be south of Huntsville just a little bit, getting the heck away from the kids. Much needed break. Love my children. Sometimes you got to leave them at home. So, all right, let's see. Big Starnes Outdoors. Are you going to fish Watts Bar Lake next Saturday? No, was not planning on it. Definitely not. Chris Bauer, I've been throwing everything I got at them, and they will either barely chase it and give up or straight up ignore it. Yes. I don't know where you live, Chris, but that is wintertime, late winter, early spring. You've got to slow way down, and don't use baits that are so loud. Find the clearest water that you can find, and just slow way down and try to bump your baits off of stuff. I'm going to get ready, literally starting this week up here in North Georgia. I'm going to be throwing a chatterbait. I'm going to be throwing a flat-sided crankbait, and shoot, that's probably about it. Maybe dragging a jig. If there's really bad weather that comes in, I may be up on points dragging jigs, but it all depends. So let's see. All right, I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit just to kind of get caught up. I know I tend to jabber a lot, and you guys throw a bunch of comments out. While I got you guys on here, remember, next Wednesday, 8 o'clock on the Plano Facebook page, I'm going to be live with Kevin Van Dam on his podcast called The College of Fishing, and we're going to be talking about tackle organization. I'm going to do something that's going to blow their mind. I've got a box that I have customized, could you say? You guys haven't seen it. Nobody's seen this deal, and it is amazing. It's something I do to save myself a ton of money during the year. And so I kind of hinted at it to Plano, but I told him, I said, I ain't telling you. You're just going to have to see. So it's going to be pretty cool. Big Red Bass, I need to fish a drop shot for a whole year and learn how to get good with it. Yes. I wouldn't call it a whole year, but fish with it now. Fish with it when you're fishing like beds, when you're fishing for spawning bass, just a little bit. But in the summertime, man, it really does work great. The guy that taught me how to do it is the same guy that makes the bullshad swim bait, Mike Buca. Him and I were fishing years ago when about the time that the word of the drop shot made it to the East Coast. I went out with him and I said, dude, show me how to do this. And that's what he did. So what is my favorite Baitcaster combo? Oh, man. So I'm sponsored by 13, but the reason I use 13 rods and reels is because I really feel like they're the best deal on the market. You get a way more rod and reel for the money than you do many of the other brands. So, but my favorite ones are not their least expensive. I have fallen in love with the new Concept A2. It is Matt built it to be bulletproof as he could. And so all the new features about it, everything about it just makes it a good, solid workhorse of a reel. It's not as light as the A1, or the Concept A, but it is a little bit heavier because of the quality that he put into it. Now, the new rods that are coming out here shortly, what are they called? The Fate. Oh, the V2s. The V2s, they're the white rods that are coming out. They're literally almost out on the market. They're just starting to get them in from China or Korea. I don't know I can't remember who makes their rods. But they're getting them in, and as soon as they hit the market, I'll let you guys know. But I have been fishing them for about 6 months, and I love them. And I can't wait to get a full set so I can start doing videos where you guys can see the rod moving and that kind of stuff, so I can show you how to fish certain baits that require a little bit more finesse in the rod. So, but that's one of my favorite combos right now. I can't wait till you see them. It's going to be slick. Let's see. Ed Wolf, thanks, man. I appreciate it. He said, congrats for 21 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. So, and my secret is, and my wife's probably not watching this, but my secret is one, be honest 100% of the time, and two, communicate. The minute you stop talking to each other, and it just gets easier and easier not to talk to each other. Yes, I get mad at her. She gets mad at me. We talk about it. That's the biggest thing, is to communicate, be honest. And sometimes honesty hurts, and you just got to suck it up and try to make her happy as much as you can. But 21 years has been a lot of fun. Got some good kids too. Michael Keenan, am I the oldest subscriber? I'm 94. You probably are. You got my mom by about 9 years, so you probably are 10 years. I hope I'm right. Sorry, Mom. Let's see. Hey, Fluke, you live close to Peachtree City. I'm going to be there for April. How does Georgia usually fish around then? They should be spawning down in Peachtree City. I'm way up north. I'm about 2.5 hours from Peachtree City. But they should be somewhere on the bed. They'll definitely be shallow. But they should be spawning sometime in April. Around the April full moon is just typically when they do it. So, hold on. I gotta scratch my nose. Probably gonna sneeze here in just a second. The original 13 Fishing Inception is a great reel for the price. Yes, you're absolutely right, David. It is another one of those that's just a workhorse. Kind of feels clunky, but to the point where you know you can beat the crap out of it, and it's still going to work for you. So, Jake Dogs 6.5. Thanks for the $5, brother. I appreciate it. Like, once again, you guys that donate, you guys are awesome. You are awesome. Oh, Kong Bang sent me a Valentine's. Happy Valentine's, Luke. Just kidding. This is for teaching us how to bass fish. More to come in the future. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Oh, you're funny. Let's see. How do you feel about Shimano reels, especially the DC reels? That's one of those brands where I feel like, the DC reels are really cool. I've got a buddy of mine who bought them and sold the two that he used and sent the two that he hadn't used back because he didn't like them. It's kind of like, and he's just like, they were just too different for me than what he was used to. And I understand that. But Shimano reels are the brand of reels that when I hold it and play around with it and cast it and so on and so forth, it just doesn't feel like the price point. Feels like I'm paying more for the Shimano brand than I am for the reel. And it just me. And it's been that way even before 13 Fishing, long before 13 Fishing. And so it's not because I'm sponsored by somebody. It's just that's how I've always felt. So, this one's easy. Jacob Neubauer says you can only use one style of soft plastic. Which do you pick, stick bait or a craw? A trick worm, 100%. A Zoom trick worm, 7.5-inch straight tail worm. I can do so much with it, and I can always catch fish with it on so many different rigs. And no, it's not a Cinco. Have you tried the 6 cents Axis yet? No, but I did buy a couple of them, so I can't wait to try them. And I really think that the Jabberjaw and the Axis can work hand in hand. The Axis is quieter. It doesn't have those metal cheeks where the metal bill hits them, so it's quieter. So in early pre-spawn, like right now, I probably would pick the Axis more than I would the Jabberjaw, just because it's not as in their face. But I'm going to put it to the test. That'll be pretty fun. So, can you do a video on the Jabberjaw and what's your rod set up in line? Yes, I'm going to do a video on it. I probably, to throw that one, I could probably get away with a medium moderate, but I think I'm going to do either a medium fast or a medium heavy moderate. But a medium fast or medium moderate ought to work pretty good too. I just haven't messed around with it as much to see. So, I know in Florida, I thought I was going to be throwing a medium heavy moderate with my chatterbait, and I ended up throwing a medium heavy fast and a heavy just because of the junk I was ripping it through. But anyway, you just never know. Good grief, you guys. Who in the heck did that? David Fields, brother. Thanks for the 50, bro. God, you're awesome, man. I'm going to be in Augusta the next couple of weeks. I've got to fish Lake Murray for the KBF Trail Series end of this month, last weekend of this month. So, hit me up. We ought to go out for lunch or dinner or something, or let you jump in my kayak and fall out since you're such a big guy. But anyway, love you, bro. He said, what's up? Better take Tiffany to dinner since you've been gone for so long. Recarpeting my boat. I'll never do that again. Keep up the good work. Dude, I used to build electric boats. I'd buy old trackers and I'd gut them out and I'd build them all electric, and then I'd carpet them. And I understand that glue gets everywhere and it's such a pain in the butt, but I've done it several times. So, man, that's awesome, man. Thanks for the $50, brother. I appreciate it. Joshua Jones, thanks for the $4. You're awesome, man. He says, let's see, FR Jake Dog 65. Gene, what's your go-to plan for fishing blueback herring lakes like Clarks Hill Lake during pre-spawn? Ooh, man, this could be like an hour long. I love blueback herring lakes. That's why I'm excited about the Lake Murray tournaments, because a lot of those guys that fish the trail, the KBF trail, don't know that much about blueback herring. But to understand blueback herring, you got to understand they're offshore fish. They don't like to get super, super shallow, except for when they're spawning in May and June, or April, end of April, early May, somewhere around there. So typically I'm not going to go all the way to the backs of the creeks unless I'm looking for the bass that are local, that aren't going to move from the back of the creeks. They're not going to chase the blueback herring because shad are going to be back there. So I'll be back there fishing shad patterns and that kind of stuff. But bluebacks are going to be in the midsection of the lake. And when these bass are moving back and feeding up and getting ready to spawn, those who chase bluebacks all the time are just going to pull off in a pocket and spawn. They're not going to go all the way to the back of the creek. They're just going to find a shallow pocket mid creek, or maybe in main lake, and pull off and spawn there. So that's kind of the areas that I'm going to be looking at. I tend to fish a little shallower because when the sun's up, blueback herring love to get up shallow in the water column. But again, they're not going to go towards the bank. They're just going to move up in the water column and get shallow. And that's why there's so much schooling going on at blueback lakes. There's so much about them. Man, I need to do a video about bluebacks. I know it wouldn't get a lot of play because there's not very many blueback lakes, but it's such a cool little thing. You basically throw everything you know about bass fishing out the door. You start over because bluebacks changed the world. So, Chris Barkowski, he says, man, I cannot wait for the ice to melt here in Ontario. Dude, you still got a little while, though. That sucks. Bass boat or kayak? Jacob, both. Dude, I love them both. I love my Alumacraft Pro 185. It's got 115 horses on it. I can cover a lot of water. I can find fish really, really fast. Kayak, I just enjoy the camaraderie of the people in kayak fishing, dude. I really do. I love those guys. They're my brothers. I love to fish with them. I'll even love to fish tournaments with them. I don't get super serious about it, and we just have a whole lot of fun, and we take care of each other. And it's fun to catch a fish out of a kayak, a big one. It's fun to catch big fish out of a kayak. So it just all depends. When am I going to Rocky Mountain again? I almost went today. Like I said, the weather wasn't quite good this morning. So, Josh, I just live right down the road. It's only like 10 minutes from me, but it just all depends. I typically won't get there till May unless I'm just going to go shoot a quick video and come home just because I'm always traveling this time of year. Let's see. Jacob Nutter says, do you know anybody that does videos on river fishing? Not off the top of my head. I know a few guys that do a lot of river fishing. I'm just not sure if they do videos. One of them's called River Wolf. He's here in Georgia. I'm not sure, dude. Let's see. Tanner Wilson. All right, I just started really getting into fishing, and I'm fishing the Fort Stewart ponds that are quite big, but it's near Savannah. Yeah, I'm very familiar with them. You probably know that, but what do you recommend to throw? They're pretty shallow. But right now it's more going to be about location and speed that you're working your baits. A swim jig would work really good, but worked really slow through the stuff that's on the bottom. But you want to go find the steep banks, and if you're going to bank fish them, you want to bank fish from the beginning of the steep banks all the way out to the other end of the steep banks. So it starts off, they're not so steep, and then you kind of work along them and go all the way to the other end and drag that jig up those banks really, really slow. Another thing you can use is a creature bait on a Texas rig. So like a Zoom brush hog or a baby brush hog or something like that on a Texas rig works really good this time of the year, or even a lizard. So it's kind of what I would do, especially down there right now. They're probably a month earlier than I am up here. And so they should be spawning in March. So they should be pretty close. Water temperature is going to be like mid 50s right now. So, have I ever fished Mud Creek? I just missed that. I was in the middle of reading it. Have you ever fished Mud Creek across from Sunrise Cove on Lanier? I have no clue. I think I have. I don't know the names of the creeks. I fished all over Lanier. Just never pay much attention to the names of the creeks. So, Christopher Sanford says, when would you trash a bait instead of cleaning and painting? Found a few in a box and I forgot about, and they are crusty. The only time I would do it now, this is something you guys really ought to know because I've seen a lot of complaints, reviews online, really bad reviews of certain crankbaits, and I know the reason. And so what happens with a lot of like square bills and crankbaits and stuff like that, somebody will put them in a tackle box. They'll put the tackle box in their boat or in their car, and their boat will get really, really hot in the summertime, and it will cause your baits to expand and crack. And I could probably go out right now to my barn and pull out a handful of baits that all are fatter than they're supposed to be, and they've got cracks in the paint where the plastic is literally stretched because I let them get too hot. And that's the only time I throw mine out, if they were like that, because they probably aren't going to run right, and they're probably going to just be fill up with water. The way to prevent that is to always bring your crankbaits inside, into the barn, into the garage, into wherever, into your house. Don't leave them in your car, and don't leave them in the hatch of your boat unless your boat's undercover somewhere and doesn't get super hot. So I've done, man, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars in crankbaits I have ruined over the years because I don't do that. I'm a dummy. Let's see. How far do bass travel to spawn? Half mile, miles? It just depends on the lake. It really does, or the area of the lake. You'll have a lot of times bass that are out deep for the wintertime. It depends on the length of the creek. If the creek's 2 miles long, in order to get to a spawning area, they're going to travel 2 miles. They're going to do it fairly quickly too, but it just depends. It depends. They will travel 2.5 miles if they have to. I've watched them travel a half a mile in a day. It was on a controlled environment. I was on a private lake. It was a huge lake, and I was catching them early in the morning on the dam, and all of a sudden they disappeared. And I found the entire school a half a mile up the lake about an hour and a half later. And started catching them again. Let's see. Oh, Josh Ward, what's going on, man? He says, Gino, what size or color? What's more important? What do you change first? Size, color? Let me think. Size, for me, and when you say size, I usually just think about like crankbaits, but I know it has to do with saw plastics and stuff like that. Typically, size just depends on the time of the year and how big the bait is. Color I change because of clarity, water clarity. What I typically change first is action. Am I fishing it fast? Am I fishing it slow? Am I stopping and going? Am I jerking it? Am I, it just all depends on what the bait I'm fishing, but I'm going to try several different things until I get bit. And then I'm going to try to remember exactly what I was doing when I got bit, and then try to duplicate that again and again until I, see if that's exactly what the fish want. Has more to do with action and speed than anything when I change. I'm going to change color when the watercolor changes. I'm going to change size when I realize that I'm fishing the wrong size. And I'll give you, for instance, I was fishing a tournament on Lake Oconee years ago, and I had been wearing them out every single Wednesday night tournament on a Shaky Head with a green pumpkin finesse worm on it. Or it was a trick worm, green pumpkin trick worm. In this one tournament, I was like, man, I am not catching anything. And I was in the juice. I knew where the fish were. I wasn't catching anything. What am I doing wrong? I looked down at the watercolor, and it was totally different than it had ever been. And it was literally the same color as that green pumpkin worm. And I'm like, the bass aren't seeing it. So I switched to a June bug in red, threw it in there, and started catching them. And so that's when I change colors, when the watercolor is different. So you guys be sure to hit the thumbs up. And if you're on Facebook, share this, man. I'd love for more people to jump on here. We got 230 people on here. I know we had more than that a little bit earlier. If you only fished from a kayak, would the power and action of your rods be any different? When I switch from the boat to kayak, there are some types of rods that I fish that are different. Crankbait rods. I don't fish super flimsy crankbait rods. I've got a jerkbait rod that's literally a noodle. I leave that one at home. I'll bump it up to a medium moderate with a little bit of backbone. I usually, if I'm having an issue setting the hook, I will change to braided line before I'll change the action power of the rod. It's just an easier switch. I'll change the braided line, and then I'll go up a power. For instance, down in Florida, I was throwing a chatterbait, and the water was super clear, and I felt like the braid coming through the grass made too much noise as I was reeling the bait through, and the braid was running along the grass, and I didn't want that to happen. So I left it to fluorocarbon, but I was at 15-pound fluorocarbon. I bumped it up to 20, and then I bumped my rod from a medium heavy moderate to a medium heavy fast. And that way I could rip it through the grass and be really, really aggressive. And I wasn't going to lose as many fish in the grass when I got bit. And that's what I won most of my money on. So was a dang jackhammer. Goodness gracious. Matt Lois, what do you think about G-Man Jordan 13? I'm all for it, man. Absolutely all for it. I think it's great. I hope that means we get to fish together. Me being a little selfish, but man, I really want to fish with him. I've had great conversations with him. One of the highlights of my entire fishing career was to see him do stand-up comedy one night at a little fishing get-together that we were doing. Was amazing. He literally missed his calling in life. He is hilarious as a stand-up comedian. What longer of a leader do you use on your Carolina rigs? Blue Collar Sportsman, go Dogs, man. He said, typically I'm going to start with a 14 to 20 incher. I don't like to go much longer just because it's harder to cast, but 14 to 20 inches is usually what I'm going to throw. What's my all-time favorite lake to fish? Would like to make a trip down to Okeechobee after I retire from the military. My all-time favorite lake that I have fished is Fellsmere Lake or Headwaters Lake down in Florida. They just opened to boats. They just opened up the boat ramp in August of last year. I've been fishing it for 4 years out of a kayak and absolutely love that lake. Other than Florida, my favorite lake is Wilson on the Tennessee chain. Love Lake Wilson. It fits my style of fishing perfectly. So, and I get to fish it for a trail series this year sometime. So, I need to start fishing with Mark Davis. Kyle, you are absolutely right. I love Mark Davis, dude. That would be a blast, man. That would absolutely be a blast. What a great dude. Coosa River fishing. Do spotted bass typically spawn later than largemouth, or do they spawn at the same time? They actually spawn a little bit earlier. Spotted bass will start spawning when the water temperature is in the high 50s, 58, 59, and then bass will start spawning somewhere around 62, 63. That's what's been my experience. They're a lot more cold water tolerant. Tim Beers, where's that trophy? It's upstairs. I need to show it. I need to put it on the wall behind me. So the third place trophy for the Fellsmere tournament that I fished is one of the most beautiful dang trophies I've seen. Tim won first place, by the way. So, man, it is hot. I'm glad I've got about 10 minutes. Let's see. Zach's, I've never even paid attention to headbanger lures. Caden D Outdoors, he says, what is your favorite general purpose shallow water crankbait, rod length, power, and action? And what speed reel would you pair it with? My general shallow water crankbait rod. I'm typically throwing a square bill or something light, not a real heavy crankbait. So I'm throwing on a medium moderate action, 6'8", 6'10", somewhere around there. I'm not really picky. I just want it less than 7 feet. And I'm going to pair it with a 7-3-1 reel. That way and that's like your all purpose speed of reel. Cause you can speed up if you need to, you can slow down if you need to. And I started getting serious about bass fishing when the highest speed reel you could get was a 6-6-1. So I've been able to play around with these higher speed reels and realize that 7-3, 7-4, 7-5-1, somewhere around there, those are all good for just general purpose. But you can slow down, you can speed up. And then I'm going to fish it in a little bit heavier line, 15 pound, which I typically use 12 or 10, but I'm going to bump it up to 15 pound Seagar Braze X because I'm going to be ripping it through stuff and hitting everything shallow. So, oh man, where's that? David Carlson says, how do you feel about fishing apps, Bass Forecast, and others? I use one, and I've been using it for about a year and a half. It's Angler, ANGLR, and I use the Angler Bullseye, and it really, you don't see the advantage of it until you go back to a lake a year later. So I was fishing tournaments down in the Kissimmee chain, and last year I fished Lake Jackson. And I'd marked all of my fish that I had caught for the week I was down there. I marked them on my Angler, which are on my phone. I can pull them right up, see the history of all the fish I caught. And I had accidentally deleted all of them on my fish finder, so I didn't have any record of it. So I just pull up my phone, thumb through, find the map of where I was, and I could see the places I had caught all those fish last year, click on them, know what the conditions were, and see the history of why they were there. And then I had to think of a little memory about where the grass was situated and that kind of stuff. And it really helped me find fish on that lake super fast. I literally left that lake alone the whole 2 weeks or a week I was pre-fishing and tried every other lake and ended up coming back and fishing the tournament and winning money on that lake. So that's why angler is so important, so special to me, is that I've been using it for over a year, and I really am able to go to these lakes and easily remember the details of every fish that I caught while I was on those. So that's the huge advantage of that. Still having trouble skipping after watching many videos. Any additional tips on skipping? The biggest key is your follow through. Low trajectory, high velocity, and use a bait that can skip. There are certain baits that just aren't going to skip well. Just there's too much stuff hanging from the bait. It's going to get hung up. I've got an old skipping video where I talk about moving the skirt out away from a jig and that kind of stuff. But the biggest key is your follow through. You skip it and then you bring your rod up as it's going up underneath the dock or up underneath the brush. So it's a skip and you bring your rod up. And what that does is it keeps the line coming out of your rod at pretty much the same speed, even as that bait is stopping and starting as it's skipping. If you stop your rod and don't follow through, that's when you get a backlash every single time. So biggest thing, the follow through is everything. And I'm telling you, it took me forever to get that into this hard head, is that I needed to make sure that I followed through. Big red bass. I'm still not sold on fluoro over braid. Have you seen fluoro really make a huge difference in getting more bites? Yes, a lot. When I'm not in Florida, fishing that dark water in thick cover, and I'm fishing clear water or high pressure situations, it makes a huge difference. Another thing it makes a difference for me is sound. If you can feel vibration from a bass biting the end of your line, the bass are going to feel the vibration of that braided line going through your guides if it's super, super loud. That's why I use Smackdown from Sierra, because it's a smooth line, and it doesn't get caught up in your reel nearly as bad for smooth lines and stuff like that, but it's just smooth and quiet. It comes through the grass quietly. It comes over logs and stuff quietly. It just doesn't have that real loud sound. If I can't get it quiet enough, then I'm going to go to fluorocarbon. So it's a give and take. It really is. But when it's high pressure or clear water, fluorocarbon every single time. What lake do I film my videos on? Dude, wherever I'm at, really. I do a lot of traveling. The main lake right now, my home lake, is Rocky Mountain PFA right down the road from my house. It's a public fishing area. It's got 3 lakes. One of them's a trophy lake that's only open 10 days a week, but there's not that many trophies in it as far as I'm concerned. Gunnersville, down in Florida, just depends on where I'm at. It really does. So John, you don't skip an A-rig? Dude, I know somebody who does, who can skip an A-rig, and I haven't even sat down and tried to teach myself how to do that. Man, oh man. And he can skip it, and he's won tournaments skipping A-rigs under docks, but there's got to be a huge space under the dock. So let's see. Have you ever fished Lake Somerville in Texas? If so, what tips do you have? I have not fished Somerville. No, I have fished it, but I got off the water. I think that was Somerville. I'd have to look. I've fished a few lakes in Texas, but I don't remember the name. I don't remember fishing Somerville. I might have. David Neal, man, thanks for the $2, man. I appreciate it. I really do. Oh, and there's $2 more. $4. Appreciate you, brother. I don't know how that didn't even pop up on my feed. That's weird. Let's see. That Mosier boy says, do you have a video on how to use a shaky head? Yes, I do. The best way to find my videos, those type of videos and stuff like that, go into my channel page and look for the little magnifying glass, click on it, and you'll be able to search just my page, and then just look up Shaky Head and you'll find it. Let's see. Never fished Potomac River. How was the lake until lake only How is Lake only open for 10 days a month? Did I say 10 days a week? Sorry, 10 days a month. It's open the 1st to the 10th. You guys don't let anything slide, do you? Never been to Jordan Lake in North Carolina. I was gonna go a couple of years ago for a high school event, but it got canceled due to weather. What is going on with my beard? I am gonna grow it out. I don't know how long. I'm just gonna grow it until I feel like cutting it. So the goal is to do it until next December, but we'll see how far that goes. So what's better for smallmouth, drop shot or Ned rig? Smallmouth or drop shot. Drop shot. It's in the books. You look at the number of tournaments that are won on a drop shot that are smallmouth tournaments, and it is a huge percentage. Angel Saavedra says, like your instructional videos, good stuff. Appreciate it, man. I really do. That's awesome. Philip Cook says, what part of Jackson do you fish? It's not the northern part of Jackson. It's the Jackson Lake that's in the Kissimmee area, the small one. It's in a wildlife management area. So I know which one you're talking about, though. Let's see. What are my thoughts of the people at Tactical Bass? And dude, I've known Matt for, oh gosh, I'm guessing he got on Bass Resource around 2005, 2004, somewhere around that. And I was a moderator over there, and I got to know him real well just from talking to him and reading his posts and that kind of stuff. Known him for a long time. When YouTube started becoming a thing, he was the one person that I knew that if he ever started making YouTube videos, he'd be successful because his knowledge is intense. And for them to move over here to Chattanooga is amazing. I can't wait to see the kind of stuff they can do. I know there's a learning curve because it's a lot different than how they fish over in California. But it's going to be pretty neat. And to see him and Tim working together, I'm excited about it. I love the dudes. I think they're great. I want to collaborate with them. I just don't know if they like to collaborate because I haven't seen them collaborate with people in a long, long time. So I'd love to. Love to. Bobber sonar, worth it for bank anglers. I'm going to go grab something off this shelf right there. Give me just a second. If you're going to get a bobber sonar, this one right here, okay? It's from Vexilar. It's called the Sonar Phone. I'm sure they still make them. I haven't checked in a year or two. But the reason I choose this one is because the readout on your phone looks like a fish finder. Looks like the first fish finder you're going to put on your boat or your kayak or whatever. So by the time you get to that point where you have a boat or you have a kayak and you put a fish finder on it, you'll have a good idea what you're looking at. It's the reason I talk about this. $100, I think. And so definitely, if you're going to get it, don't get the ones that look like a video game because they're not going to help you in the long run. Get the ones that look like a fish finder. All right. Let's see. All right, let's catch back up. Is Bass Resource still relevant? Would you recommend using it still? I don't think it's still relevant. I left it a while ago because the YouTube got so busy that I couldn't moderate anymore. And then about a year or two after that, I caught wind that the owner was super jealous of what was going on with me. And he got really paranoid, I guess. I don't know. And then all of a sudden I was banned and I have no clue what I did. Well, I know why he thought what he thought I was doing, which was not what I was doing, but he thought I was doing something on the side to try to hurt his website and he banned me. And it wasn't even close to the truth. So just kind of weird. Anyway. You ever fish? William, thanks for the $5, man. He says, you ever fish with an ultralight rod for fun? Yes, I got an old video in horrible. I mean, I shot it with a horrible camera and everything else back in the early days. I love catching bass on light line. Matter of fact, Seaguar just came out with a new line, actually a new line for bass fishing. It's been around for a little while for saltwater, but it's called Gold Label. It is their highest end fluoro, and it's a leader material. It's not for main line or anything else. It is the best fluorocarbon that you can buy. It is not cheap, but it's leader material, and I got 2 pound test, and I want to go out and fish for giant bass with 2 pound test leader material just for fun. So they comes in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. What they did is they took the heavier lines and they finally took the same formula for the fluorocarbon, and they're making lighter lines for bass fishing. What is better in your opinion, lipless or blade bait? Whew. That's hard to say. I love this time of the year. I'll go either one. Really, I will. I'll check them both to see which one. If I'm fishing really thick grass or a lot of grass, I'm going to go blade bait just because, or not blade bait, bladed jig, because it fit, a chatterbait. It goes to the water. A blade bait alone, just realized what that was. I fish blade baits when it's super cold, and then as it starts to warm up pre-spawn wise, that's when I break out the lipless. So my house is being invaded by ladybugs. Goodness, welcome to the North Georgia mountains. I'm watching little ladybugs flying around my office. I'm going to have to get a vacuum cleaner out. When do I throw an A-rig? I rarely ever fish an A-rig, mainly because it's got a ton of hooks and it leaves hooks in the fish's mouth, in the gut and in the belly, and it hooks them everywhere, and I just don't like it. But if you're going to throw an A-rig, wintertime all the way up to just before the spawn is probably the best time to throw an A-rig. So Jerry says, hey, Fluke, show a little gray there, buddy. You like that? Look at that gray. Look at that. Yeah. It just means I'm old. I'm okay with being old. 46. I'm okay with it. So I would like to get in a little better shape. Matter of fact, on my trip down to Florida, I lost almost 20 pounds. Ate one meal a day, one healthy meal a day. I was doing my own cooking. Like I said, I was out in the middle of nowhere. I went shopping on Saturday evening, cooked my food all day Sunday, meal prepped, and had food all week. So it was pretty fun. Let's see. Do you do any tournament fishing? If so, do you sign up for that Bass Pro Shops tournament? I think it was like across the USA. I know which one you're talking about. No, I haven't signed up for it. I'm a huge fan of kayak tournaments, and that's pretty much what I'm focusing on this year. I do a lot of fishing out of my boat, a lot of pre-fishing out of my boat. I've got a Lumacraft Pro 185, but kayak tournaments has kind of been my focus this year. When it comes to tournaments, I'm not going to do any tournament videos. Talked about that a little bit earlier, because they don't get a whole lot of play, and my son puts a whole lot of work into editing them, so it just doesn't, the economics of it and the time management of it and stuff like that just doesn't make any sense. So I won't be doing any tournament videos this year, but KBF trail tournaments, I'm fishing them full force this year just to see how good I can do. I've already finished 4th in one, the one down in Florida. So, hey, Gene, what is the difference in action between the Texas rig versus Shaky Head? Thanks. So a Texas rig tends to lay down on the side just because of the design of the bullet weight that you're using and stuff like that. Shaky Head is designed to get that worm floating up and up off the surface a little bit. The weight's on the bottom, the worm sitting there tickling the bass's nose. But it's just an easier target. And so if I'm going to fish, if the fishing is hard and stuff like that, or I need to be fishing finesse for some reason, I'm going to throw a Shaky Head. If I'm flipping into cover and flipping into exact spots, I'm going to be throwing a Texas rig. So that's pretty much what I would do. So, all right, guys, reminder, next Wednesday night, 8:00, I'm going to be on Kevin Van Dam's podcast called The College of Bass on the Plano Facebook page. So be sure you check that out. I'm glad to be back. I'm sorry I took so long. Be sure to enter the Stuck on Fluke giveaway, and I will see you guys next week. Like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water. Go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.